many there are. There are more opportunities for women, particularly because there are more regional sports networks, there's more digital stuff now. So there are more opportunities, but the challenges, I think, the challenges have remained, shall we say, I don't think that there's been a lot of progress in the challenge as far as getting in. If you're a woman, it's still difficult.
I agree. So describe some of the major obstacles that you have faced as a female reporter, both when you started and today.
Wow, obstacles. Well, the first obstacle is just getting hired. And there were many times when I went and talked to people, and they just said, I had news directors say to me when I was trying to get my first job that this community isn't ready for a woman to do sports. When in reality, I think what he was saying is, I'm not ready for a woman to do sports. So the obstacles were, I think, just trying to get people, and I graduated from Maryland in 1984, just for some perspective, which is a long time ago. So there weren't as many jobs then, and it was just finding the person who would say yes, which I think is still an obstacle, but there are more people now who would be willing to say yes, because there weren't a lot of people when I got out of school, a lot of women who were doing this, and now that there have been, I think it's opened up a few doors that weren't there certainly when I got out.
So what are some of the challenges now, or obstacles now?
For people coming out of school, or just anyone?
I mean, both, I guess.
I think there's still obstacles as far as being treated equally, being paid equally, and getting equal opportunities. I still think it's difficult to get opportunities for women. That I think there are certain organizations that would say, well, if we have one, we're good. That they might be slotting people into different things. So there's still, I think, still the challenge is to create opportunities, and for organizations to give women more opportunities than they get.
So what would you say, in your opinion, do you think, why it took so long before female sports reporters were allowed to enter the locker room after games, and when men were allowed?
Let's see. Ignorance, I think. First off, going into a locker room, even if you're a guy covering guys, it's the most unnatural place to do an interview, to talk to people who are, had just played a game and various stages of undress. But, when you go into a locker room, you're just trying to do your job and to get information. I think locker rooms, I don't know why maybe they should start closing them now and bringing them out to interview areas, because it's just a strange place. But I think it was just ignorance and thinking that, women would go in there and go, wow, a naked guy. When in reality, you're just trying to get the quote, right, just like the guy next to you. And I was thrown out of a couple locker rooms back in the 80s, even when women were permitted in locker rooms. People were like, oh, you shouldn't be in here, and I had to say, yes, I can be in here. So I just think it was just, as I said, mostly it was just ignorance, and there just weren't that many. I mean, these guys, back when I was covering baseball in the 80s, I worked in Baltimore, and we covered the Orioles and go in and talk to visiting teams, which were the main problems. There just weren't that many people. So I think it was just like, what are you doing in here? Right. Well, I'm trying to do my job, just like, this guy next to me.
Who did you look up to as a young female sports reporter? Who inspired you?
Who inspired me? Back when I was doing it, there were no women. I mean, there were no women doing play-by-play. Zero. So, gosh, growing up, I looked up to people like Pat Summerall was calling football in the National Football League. I loved him. But yeah, there were no women. So anybody I would name would be a guy. So, and I'm hoping that has changed now.
How was it feel to you when people, young women journalists, say they look up to you?
It's shocking. It's good. I think I'm glad that, if indeed that's true. I mean, I'm flattered by that, and I think it's good, and I guess it would help, because I can't relate to that, because when I was growing up, there wasn't anybody. So it's good that if somebody can relate to that and go, well, it's been done, you've been there, you've taken, a couple of lumps, so I think it's flattering, and it's something that I really take it seriously, and I certainly honor that.
So when you first started, did you ever imagine you'd be working for ESPN?
No. When I first started, I don't even know what my goals were. I knew I wanted to be a play-by-play announcer, and I never really, I don't even remember watching ESPN and going, I remember thinking, gosh, I wish I could work there, but and again, when I got out of Maryland, ESPN was 5 years old, so it was, and there were no women play-by-play then, so I just wanted to, I don't even know if I even had a game plan. I just knew I wanted to do it, and it wasn't about money, and it wasn't about exposure, and it wasn't about, you know, like my dream job would be, like to call the Washington Nationals, something like that. I knew that, but I didn't really sit there and go, I have to do this, 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 and this to get there. It was almost like something that was surreal, like a little kid asking for something from Santa. It just didn't seem like it was possible. So no, I couldn't have imagined this.
That's awesome. So last question, what would you say to young women entering the sports journalism world?
Be persistent. And one thing for me, it was like, don't take no for an answer, because I still think that there are obstacles that women have to face that are more obvious, and just don't take no for an answer. Grow a thick skin, and if you love it, just find somebody who'll say yes, and then take off with it.
That's awesome. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.